Hey friend, welcome to Mental Bloom. I'm Brittany Clarkson, your host. Y'all know that by now. So today I'm really talking to that stay-at-home mom. Not even, scratch. I'm just talking to women. Every woman out there listening right now. What I want to talk about today is money. And I don't want to teach you anything mind-blowing about how to budget or how to save money. Um, I don't even necessarily want to shift your entire mindset about money today. I just want to talk about money because I don't think we talk about it enough. I really think that I really think it's just one of those kind of touchy subjects where we want to pretend like we know what we're doing, but we really have no idea what we're doing. And then we go to read about it and Google it and get really confused. And I feel like I feel like we shun the topic of money for a number of reasons because of that confusion and wanting to feel like we know what we're doing, but we really don't. But then I also think that we avoid conversations about money because we've been told it's a touchy subject. We've been told don't talk about money, don't bring up numbers, don't tell people how much money you make, don't tell people, like hide the cost of your product until the checkout page. Like I hate that. Um, when you think you really want something and then you get to the checkout page and it's like 10 times, literally 10 times more than what you're willing to pay for it. And you're like, oh no, I wasted my time in researching this. Um, like just be upfront with cost. And I am aware that I have some sales pages where I don't have the price listed right away, but I try to put it in there where I can. Um, I really do. But I also feel like money is we get told that it's the root of all evil and that, like you should not love money. And if you have money, you should give it all away. And rich people are bad. And I feel like we just get pummeled with all of these different ideas and beliefs and notions about money that just aren't even true. But because we've been told it's a touchy subject, we shouldn't talk about it. We shouldn't want to know more about money. That, we just naively believe these things and, we don't get to take the time to uncover the truth behind what money is and how money works. So I really just want to get used to talking about money today, get comfortable hearing about money and thinking about money, get comfortable with the idea of money. Because now I am mentioning to that stay at home mom, if you're following these same like arbitrary stay at home mom, homemaker rules that I always have, you're thinking like, Proverbs 31 woman is goals, right? That has been my setup for like that's been my standard for, like the goal mark for being a homemaker has always been the Proverbs 31 woman because she did it all. And if I'm using that as a guideline, she was in charge of the finances. Like it's the woman's role to be in charge of the money. And I feel like biblically it's the woman's job to be in charge of money. Traditionally, it's the woman's job to, run the budget. If you're in charge of the home, if you're in charge of home management, you're in charge of the money management because it takes money to run a home. You should not be sitting there waiting for your husband to give you an allowance that he has pre-decided so that you can run the house on that money. That makes no sense. Um, yeah, I said what I said. I don't know if that offends or ruffles feathers, but that's the way I see it. It's the woman's job to be in charge of money. And I feel like as women, as a whole, we tend to not know a lot about money, especially when we're not the ones in the workforce. We're not the ones who are like being handed a paycheck. We're not the ones who are, doing the taxes. And I feel like we can get so disconnected from it. And then that's probably where a lot of arguments happen, where, you're disconnected from the money, but you're also in charge of money, running the budgets. I feel like that's where maybe a lot of marital, a lot of relationship, marriage issues, the arguments about money kind of come in where one person makes it, the other person spends it, but no one's coming together talking about it. No one really knows what they're talking about when it comes to money, right? And I'm not here to teach you about money today. I'm here to talk to you about money. Money. I'm going to say it a million times because I want it to feel comfortable to hear. I want it to feel comfortable to say. All right. Now, I have been in so many money situations, like you name it. It has not always been easy for me. I have not always had enough money. I have not always believed, good things about money. I have, there was a time where I lived paycheck to paycheck and I was constantly overdrafting my accounts. And this was like single me. I, didn't have rent. I was living with my parents and I had my first job and like I could not keep money in the bank. And it was like, what am I going to work for if I don't have, if I'm not having money to show for it? And then, there was a time where I lived this strict zero-based budget. I really followed Dave Ramsey and I lived really strict to that to try to get out of that, overdrafting habit and living paycheck to paycheck. And like I knew where every dollar was going. And there's been times where I tithed consistently, like in a toxic way. I felt the need to tithe an exact 10% of exactly all the money I made. And if I like skipped a tithe, I was doing some insane math to figure out how to tithe properly. And that wasn't the right heart behind tithing. If you're tithing, like trying to be exact about numbers wasn't the right heart behind it. It was giving that was supposed to be the heart, giving of those first fruits, right? Um, that's the right heart behind it. And you know what? There have been times where I wasn't tithing to the church, but I was willing to give thousands of dollars to someone in need without expecting it to be returned to me. And there's been times where I've given huge sums of money and it was not returned. And I feel good about it because I knew that money was needed. Um, and there was times where I expected the money back because it was not a gift. It was a borrowing and I didn't get it back. And I was bummed about that, but in some heart shifting things, I now no longer lend money with any expectation of getting it back. You cannot borrow money from me. No, I will give you money that you need and I will accept it back if you decide to give it back, if you're in a place where you can give it back. Um, but yeah, that was kind of a journey for me and you know, yeah. But anyways, and there have also been times in, my money story where like I had no idea where money is coming from or going. And the math doesn't add up when I sit down to like do the math to see like where like I'm not gonna have enough money if I sit and do the math and try and do a budget. And yet I always have the money. So this is just a little bit of my money story, and I'm really hoping that it can teach you something significant, some aware in all of this. And if the only thing you get from this is you get comfortable hearing about money, then I've, accomplished my goal for the day. Um, but really, there's been like I've gone through such a money journey as far as my mindset around money. Like I grew up in this scarcity mindset where we didn't talk about money. Money was something that we never had enough of. We would never have enough of it. And when you believe that you'll never have enough money, you will never have enough money because, I mean, enough is an arbitrary amount. If you say, I'll never have $100, you might prove yourself wrong someday and end up with $100. Like you could get $100 and then, oh, I was wrong. I do have $100. But if you say, I'll never have enough money, you've already decided that no amount of money is going to be enough. And I think it's so interesting because so often when we're in this mindset of, I'll never have enough money, when we're talking to people who believe they'll never have enough money, these are people who believe that people with a lot of money are, bad for having all that money and not giving it away. And I find that so interesting because it's like, you believe you'll never have enough money. So when will you have enough money to give? Like if you were in their shoes, at what number would you decide that it's time to start giving away everything on top of what you're making? And I think we all kind of either do it or have done it in the past. Like at some point in all of the money stories, there's always this feeling of scarcity and lack, like you never have enough. And until you get to the other side of it, you don't usually realize how like money hungry you were during that time and how you were more focused on money when you didn't have money versus when you do have enough money. And I think so much of like that threshold is just the mindset of like tuning into abundance and realizing that you are surrounded by blessings and you are always provided for. Like trusting in the fact that I would always be provided for has been the biggest catalyst in my money story. Um, I've had several friends, a handful of friends and family members like ask if I can help them budget because always seem to have enough money. And honestly, it wasn't budgeting that got me out of that hole of not having enough money. It was believing that I will always have enough money that it gave me the courage to pay off all my debt. Have you ever been tens of thousands of dollars in debt? Student loans, car loans, anything. If you've ever had a loan, you've been in debt. But yeah, we had student loans, both me and my husband. We had car loans. We had all kinds of stuff going on. We had credit card debt. It was all there, all the debts, we had them. And every time we'd make enough money, we would put it in savings or we would spend it on something needed. And we would continue paying that bare minimum payment on our debt because we were afraid to put the money there. And one day it finally all kind of clicked. I mean, it wasn't an overnight thing. It was, I mean, like overnight, but with weeks and months and years of preparation leading into that. But eventually, all the work I've been doing, all the knowledge I've been absorbing, all the wisdom I've been tuning into finally clicked. And I was like, we have the money to pay off our debt. Let's pay it off. Like, let's get the balance back to zero. And it was having that courage to pay off debt that so changed things because I really trusted I have the money now. And if I put the money where it's supposed to be, paying off what I owe other people, then I trust that I will have that money again. And there have been times where even like the whole world was crumbling and falling apart. 2020, I'm calling you out. But even in that time, I remember like really trusting in the process and really reminding myself I am always provided for. There's a Bible verse out there about like, God provides for the sparrows. Why wouldn't he provide for you? And I was really tuning into that belief and that, just that whole concept that I will always be provided for whatever I need. And so when it came to money, I just decided I will always have what I need. And if I don't need money, I won't have money. If I don't have money, it means I don't need money. But what I would spend the money on will be provided for me. If one day the entire economy crashes and money means nothing, I believe I'm still provided for. I believe I will still find food. I believe I will still find shelter. I believe I will still, be in the arms of my loved ones. I believe that I will always be provided for. And that is what really changed my money story for me. That just belief that I would always find abundance because we live a life that we are meant for abundance. We're not meant for survival. We are meant for thriving. We are meant for abundance. We're meant for blessing. And when you focus in on the burdens like debt and living paycheck to paycheck, and you're focusing on, I don't have enough money beliefs, then you're not believing that you'll be provided for. You're not trusting in God's protection. You're not trusting that you're living the abundant life that you're meant to be living. You're not even pursuing abundance when you're all caught up in just believing that you're not going to have enough. You have to shift the mindset on it. You have to start believing that you are surrounded by abundant blessing. You are blessed beyond measure. I mean, to be in any situation where you can sit and listen to a podcast, I guarantee that you are surrounded by blessing. You live up, like, don't get caught up in those negative beliefs that are telling you, everything sucks and everything's a nightmare and everything is awful, because that's not true. And I know what it's like to, really believe that the sky is falling. I know what it's like to believe that. But I also have to tell you it's not true. And once you realize that the sky is not falling and everything is going to be okay, and you really start to trust that everything's going to be fine and everything is going to work out in your favor, that good things are good. I was going to say good things are coming to you, but you know what? Good things are already here. Believe it. It's already happening. It's already happened. You are already blessed beyond measure. And once you start leaning into that and believing that, and look, we're back at gratitude again, your whole life shifts and changes because you start aligning, like your vibration and your habits and your mind with the life you actually want to live. Then you start to live that life. And I know that's a total change of topic, but it all lines up. It is all intertwined, intertangled. It's all the same when it comes to believing enough is enough. Like you have to define what enough is. It's the same as when we talk about you have to define what enough is for you. Like you're never going to be enough if you don't know what it is to be enough. You decide where that mark is. You decide what enough is. It's the same when it comes to your value and your enoughness, and it's the same when it comes to your money story and how much money is going to be enough for you. I know for a long time I was afraid of giving money. And I would obsess about finding different places to donate because I was like, I know I should be giving money. We're not like attending a regular church anymore. And so I feel weird giving all my money to the church we used to go to, especially when they have an obscene amount of money. Like they qualify as a mega church now, and they weren't when we started going there. And so I'm like, I don't feel like they need our money when we're not even going there anymore. So I was like researching all these places to give money, and I was obsessing kind of about details. Am I getting scammed? Like I want to give to a small charity, but I don't want to like get scammed and accidentally give to something that's not charity at all. And like my heart kind of got twisted about it. And I just kind of remember getting like a lot of fear around finding somewhere to give and deciding the amount of money to give. And I realized like my whole heart about giving kind of got twisted, and it got awry, and it wasn't what giving is about anymore. So I put a pause on the idea of giving. But like, I don't know. I feel like we've all kind of been there where we were thinking, when I make more money, I'll give. And I remember having that thought and all that fear of deciding where to give and what to give and how to give. And I remember thinking like, you know what? When I make more money, I'll give. And that is so the wrong mindset. Because it's absolutely true. Like what they say is, like a lot of people are afraid to make money because they think it'll make them a bad person. Like, like, oh, if I had $1 million, I would probably do some dumb stuff with it. It's like, well, if you have $100, what do you do with it? Because more money is just going to amplify what you're already doing. So if you're not giving out of $100, you're not going to give out of $1 million. That's just facts, because it gets a lot scarier when you get more money to give even the same percentage of it. And I think that's why we're called to like give a tithe of 10% off of the first of anything. So it's like your first $100, if you get used to giving 10 from that, it's going to make it easier to give $100 out of your first 1,000, and to give $1,000 out of your first $10,000, and to give, what is it, 100,000 out of a million? Like if you made $1 million, if you won the lottery and had $1 million, and you're like, that's when I'm going to start giving. I think it's a lot harder for your first giving to be $100,000. My math might be not My math might not be wrong. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. I think 100,000 is 10% of a million. It might not be. I think it is. I don't know. But anyways, giving a huger sum of money, even though it's the same percent, feels a lot harder and a lot scarier. So I think that's why we're supposed to give a percentage now with what you're making now, so that when you make more, you ease into giving more, because that number amount is going to keep growing and it's going to get scary if you're not easing your way into it, through it. So don't let the idea of I'll give when I make more money keep you from giving now. Because even if it's a small amount, giving is good. Okay? They say it takes money to make money. You've got to give to get. What I believe about money is that it's an energy. It's currency, correct? Currency is energy, currency is money. If you start to view money as energy and say, what I give is what I'll get back. If you trust the process of, if I give, I get. If you give without the expectation of getting, it's even better. But I believe that's how we can trust in like the provision and trust in the process. And really, I think financial freedom is found in not in the numbers. I believe financial freedom is so found in the mindset and letting go of, the control that money has on you, and you take control of what you think about money. Because if you were super uncomfortable hearing about money at the start of this episode, and just the word money and hearing that we were going to talk about money was making you way uncomfortable, then you're probably in a place where you're afraid to give a ton of money, and you're afraid to get a lot of money, and you're afraid for me to say money again. Like, if that's you, my heart goes out to you. And if you're like seeking this financial freedom, thinking that you need this perfect budget and that you need more money coming in order to solve the problem of money in your life, I promise you, like, does it feel like you're a slave to money right now? Because it's all in your head. And that's such a beautiful, wonderful thing, that being a slave to money is in your head, because it means the solution is in your head. If it's your mindset about money that is screwed up, your mindset is what's going to fix it. And that is such a wonderful, beautiful, amazing thing. Like, you have the power to solve your problem within yourself right now. So don't let money control you. You be in control of it. You wield the power. All right. I love you so much. And I want to tell you, if you haven't listened to episode 87 with my friend Raquel Muller, she is like a literal money genius. So if you go back and listen to episode 87, she's going to talk to you about how to, make money work for you. And she also will all the details are on episode 87. So go listen to that one. That one's about financial freedom and money management. And if you want to know more how money works, she's your girl to tell you how money works. That episode is going to tell you a bit more on how money works, like in the economy and in your bank account and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, she's a literal genius about it. And she also works for free one-on-one to help you take control of your money story and to help you learn how money works and to help you put money where it needs to go in order for it to actually grow. Because the banks aren't going to tell you how to make your money grow. The banks are going to tell you how to make their money grow. So hit up my girl Raquel. She will help you out of your money misery, seriously. But get used to the idea of money. Take back the power when it comes to money. Like, know that you're in control of that, and that your mindset about money, it's really going to determine your money story. All right. I love you so much, friend. See you next time.